Thanksgiving, just a little more than a week away. The time to be thankful for what you have and be thankful for the loved ones that you'll be seated with, in an obligatory fashion at least once a year. I'll be off to Tennessee. Don't ask me why. A bunch of Greeks and Italians meet up in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee for Thanksgiving. None of us are from Tennessee, but we go there and congregate for Thanksgiving. And I'll be thankful for the one reason. Family, of course. All right, 2 reasons. Family, 1. The second one, that is Bourbon Palooza for me. A few years back, my brother-in-law, a confirmed Scotch drinker, was here for an Ohio State football game. And he goes, I'm going to try some of your bourbons. And he tried some of the bourbons. And then the last one he tried was the 12-year Van Winkle. He goes, this is awesome. I got to get some of this. And I go, yeah, well, good luck. And this is even before the Van Winkle craze took place. And he's not the type of person who takes no for an answer easily. And he said, I'll get it. Well, at first he failed, but then through his resources, one Thanksgiving he brought us, he had them all. Every Van Winkle there was. All of them lined up in a beautiful little row. It was the best Thanksgiving ever. Because of family, of course, and the bourbon. So what am I thankful for? Because we always ask that question. I'm sure you do it in your families too. You go around the table. I'm thankful, honestly. One of the things is this podcast. I'm thankful for the guys that work on it, Greg Hansberry and John Whitney, and I'm thankful for the guests, especially when it's a guest that I've been trying to get on the podcast for the last year or so and haven't been able to because of schedules or whatever the case might be. But I'm very excited about our guest tonight. Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis. This is Whiskey Business, a podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. And our guest bottle tonight is Redemption High Rye Bourbon, pre-Prohibition Rye Revival Whiskey. It's got a pretty high rye content of 36% and a mash bill of 60% corn and 4% barley. And it's young. It's a young bourbon, but it's pretty good. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And I chose Redemption because our guest has probably, over the course of his radio career, had a lot of moments of redemption. From QFM, Torg and Elliott in the morning, we have Scott Torgerson. Torg is with us. Finally.
Well, about time, Dino. You had the accounts receivable lady on and don't have me on. Jeez. Was the plumber busy or the gardener's done for the year?
You know what? Let me just say, are you one of those guys who really is busy?
Well,
or is it just a case of like you want people to think you're busy?
Well, I'll tell you this as a parent. My daughter was in Annie last week.
Oh, congratulations.
And I think any parent knows this. I really don't give a shit about other people, the play itself. I just want to see my kid. And if my kid's not in the scene, I don't give a shit. Let's fast forward and see my kid, right?
You can't do that.
But I had to go to Wednesday and Thursday because one night she was the gal who pretends she's Annie's mom, and the next night she was the head orphan, so I had to go to both shows because she was 2 different characters.
She played 2 different parts.
If it was my son, I would blow it off, but she's my only daughter.
Right, daughters.
And so, yes.
Yeah.
So I had to go to both.
Yeah.
And then I think you asked me, like in the summer, we were going to talk Buckeyes, and I did have something going, but if you would ask me any other time, I probably would have been able to do it.
So back to my original question: are you one of those guys that really is busy?
Sometimes, yeah, because
or one of those
family.
guys that wants people to think that he's
No.
busy?
It just depends with kid stuff. You get sports and the kids are doing stuff, and you don't want to be a bad dad.
Are you a bad dad?
No, I think I'm a good dad. I don't know. Ask my kids. I don't know.
You went to Annie.
Yeah,
to Annie. Twice.
I buy them things.
Yeah,
they have clothes. Right? They bathe.
So you'll go to your daughter's play, but you said you would blow off your son's?
Yeah, absolutely. If he had double night, I would go one night, and then if he had 2 nights, I would blow off one. I would say, which role do you have the most lines? And then I would go to that night.
And in your mind, is that being supportive?
I don't know.
That makes sense.
Not for me to judge, Dino. Not for me to judge.
Are your kids excited that about what you do for a job and a career?
They don't. Here's the thing. My oldest is 12, And if I was a kid and my dad had a cool job, he got to meet 21 Pilots.
Cool.
He got to meet Roman Reigns, who's a wrestler, his hero. He's got to meet a lot of people, like a lot of professional athletes, and he won't tell anyone at school. He doesn't tell anybody what his dad does.
Why?
He just doesn't want to make anyone feel bad, he says.
Is that?
And he says, I want people to like me for me. And I was like, dude, I would be telling everybody if I was in school. I would tell everybody. He's very sensitive.
Is he?
Yeah, he just wants everyone to like him for him.
Yeah.
And I would be, dude, I would be calling myself Torg.
Yeah.
I had a T-shirt when I was a kid that had Torg on it just so you could give me the nickname Torg.
So you nicknamed yourself?
Well, last name's Torger since it was
know.
pretty easy. But my grandfather was Torgy. And my father was Torgy, and they called me Torgy in high school. We went to the same high school. My grandfather, my dad, and me.
Torgy sounds like some sort of some sort of genetically crossed puppy.
I agree.
Between like a Yorkie and a Shih Tzu.
It's a Minnesota thing.
You get
Everything
a Torgy.
ends with a Y. Everything ends with a Y.
Oh, it's a Y,
yeah,
not an
it's
IE.
a Y. No,
okay.
it's a Y.
Well,
an
that
IE,
makes,
I'd be a
that makes all the
woman.
difference in the world.
Yes.
So you're from Minnesota originally?
Well, yeah, St. Paul.
St. Paul?
Minneapolis.
Born and raised there?
Yep. Well, not born there. Born in a small city of like 3,000 people, and then moved there when I was like in second grade.
But a city in Minnesota?
No, it was actually across the border in Wisconsin.
In Wisconsin?
I don't let people know that. I keep
Why?
that. I just,
What's wrong with Wisconsin?
There's a little rivalry between Wisconsin and Minnesota, and I make fun of people from Wisconsin a lot.
Everybody thinks I'm from Steubenville, Ohio, but I was actually born in Gary, Indiana. So,
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that home of Michael Jackson?
It is. Well, that's in a previous podcast. We mentioned the fact
Really?
that we lived a block and a half away
Do
from
they
the
have-
Jacksons.
He could have been the sixth Jackson.
Do they have like the home where like so when you were did you ever go back there as a kid?
To Gary?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because so I grew up in South St. Paul, and do you know the Prince and the Revolution?
Right. Yeah.
Well, the guitarist.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Well, do you know who they like? Diz Dickerson was the guitarist of the Revolution.
Okay.
And he grew up in South St. Paul, like in the nice part, so like a block. And we would always walk by the house, and you go, "It's Diz Dickerson's house," and you would always like go knock on the door. No, fuck you. You go knock on the door. Kind of one of those things. So that was kind of like the house in my town where you'd walk by it and go, someone famous. That and Phil Housley's house. We had two houses in my poor ass town and Phil Housley, who a lot of people don't know, up until Mike Madonna, was the highest scoring American hockey player of all time, and he grew up across the street from me. Mm-hmm. And he's a little older, but that was the two famous houses. So you'd walk by the house and go, I figure if you're from Gary, Indiana, you'd walk by the Jackson house and go, "Oh, that's the Jackson house."
Well, I didn't know we were that close
that's
to the
where Ike beat the kids.
Yeah, I didn't.
Ike Turner.
No, Ike Turner. You think Ike Turner actually went to the Jacksons' house and beat the kids?
Teamed up with Joe.
Teamed up with Joe.
Him and Joe. Let me show you how to do it, Joe.
And beat the, you're doing it all wrong. You're not getting enough force in the
hi to
belt,
Mr.
man.
Belt.
You got to follow through, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the. Do you ever see? I don't know what the name of it. It was before Bigger and Blacker, the Chris Rock bit, where he was doing a bit on OJ, and he goes, "Never hit a woman. I shake the fuck out of him, but I never hit him." And that was like his little stand-up bit.
Oh man, it's bits like that now. You can't even. You
can't even joke about it.
You can't even
Except
joke
for on
about
your
it anymore.
podcast.
Which brings me to a couple of questions. Right now, you are on
Can I
the.
drink this?
For now, you can.
Absolutely.
My official might be first taste of bourbon.
Your first taste of bourbon.
Yeah, because I only drink to get drunk. I don't drink because I like the taste.
What? That seems kind of sad.
Why?
I only drink to get drunk. You're missing.
Yes, I'm the worst kind of alcoholic, ain't I?
You're missing out on so many things that you can. So.
Yeah, but I just don't like the taste, so I'm really not missing out.
You made a face when you took a
I
sip of
always
that.
make a face when I do shots or drink hard liquor.
So why bother?
Because I want to get drunk.
Okay, but there's other ways to.
You mean like marijuana?
Well,
or...
there's other ways to elevate yourself to a different state, I guess.
Pills?
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
No, here's the thing about me. Outside of trying marijuana, I've never done a hard drug. Never.
Ever. Because.
I don't know. I don't want to put anything. It's just not my thing.
That's fine. I
it's
respect
just not,
that.
I've never wanted to put anything in my nose. I've had people do it. I've almost got into a fight of people passing the mirror, and you're disrespecting me. It's like, no, I just don't want to start coke.
I've been in that same situation. I never did cocaine either.
Yeah, it's just not my thing.
Can't say
anything.
Can't vouch for the other ones, but
I'm not. Well, have I taken a Vicodin and had alcoholic beverages? Sure.
Taking a Vicodin for the pain.
And then had alcoholic beverages.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
sure,
chase
but
it down with a Bud Light.
but I don't know. I
That's what
don't.
you
I guess that's a drug, so I guess I'm
Yeah.
lying.
Did you take?
Forget what I said.
Well, no, but did you take the Vicodin for medical reasons?
Well, I had it because I had.
You had an issue?
Yeah, an
Right.
issue, and then I
Did it
decided
work?
to drink alcohol.
See,
it messes you up.
No, it
I
doesn't.
got into a car accident, and
Vicodin-
I was on a lot of not Vicodin. You know what I mean? Oxycodone and that stuff.
Vicodin does nothing for me. I could sprinkle.
No?
I could sprinkle Vicodin on my ice cream.
Really?
And no, it does. It does
Prove
not.
it.
Have you tried Percocet?
Not Percocet. Forget I've forget Percocet. I've had Percocet's big brother, Percodan.
Percodan?
Yes.
And then that Percoman is the next one. I had Percocet for the first time. I had laser eye surgery, and I took it. And no, it was a kidney stone. And I took it, and I felt like I was in outer space. So I called
Really?
my doctor. I said,
Yeah.
I cannot take this. It just tripped me
No,
out. It
Percocet
was not good.
doesn't do it for me. Percodan did. I got Percodan after an emergency root canal before I went to Las Vegas, and
So you're sitting there, hit me.
well, a mutual dentist, Dr. Kvitko.
Uh-huh.
God bless him. I had to leave for Vegas at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. He drove back from North Carolina. He was on his way home from vacation. He said, meet me in my office at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and he did an emergency root canal, hooked me up with the Percodans, and off to Vegas I went.
That's the power of radio. Guys do that for famous people.
Yeah.
Like if you were like hipster Greg, he's
can't-
not coming
yeah,
from
yeah.
North Carolina on vacation. But
Yeah.
Dino, radio star,
Yeah, well,
he's coming off vacation for
Yeah,
you.
now I can't even get a cleaning schedule.
Well, I mean, it happens. It happens.
So,
I'm sorry for that, buddy.
so now, how many years now at QFM with Jerry?
Over five.
Over five?
Because it was, I didn't even realize this, and someone could, nor do I care, but someone sent me a Facebook thing probably about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, you got fired 6 years ago on this day. I didn't even realize. Like, oh, yeah. Yeah. You showed up on my Facebook timeline. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. So it's been like 5.5 years going on 6.
We're gonna get to that part of your career, but when did you start? What was your first radio gig?
My first radio gig
And
was
was it sports?
Yeah, it was at K-Fan. I went to it's now called Brown College. It's great. So I could say I went to Brown College, but really at the time it was Brown Institute. Now it's called Brown College.
Okay.
And I went and it's a pretty popular broadcast school. If you watch WGN, Ron Majors was the big news guy back in the day.
Sure.
He went there. His brother Paul went there. The gal who was Jim Lampley's wife, she doesn't have. You ever see the news lady who doesn't have fingers? She was in the movie The Chase with Charlie Sheen. She's a big popular LA. She went to that school, so a lot of people went there. I went there, and it was right when sports radio was starting. K-Fan just started, and I called them up because I wanted to, when I was in school, to watch shows. They had 2 shows, and I just would go there and watch the guys do the shows. So when I got out of school, I just called him up and said, hey, man, do you have an internship? Can I get an internship? And the guy who would let me watch the show said, well, come on in. We'll interview you for an internship. Right before the interview, he turns to me and goes, this isn't for an internship. This is for a job. I was
Okay.
like, holy crap. So my first job was in a major market. I turned down a job in Whitehall, Wisconsin, because I was dating a girl, and I was so pussy-whipped at the time, I didn't want to leave. It was my first girlfriend. So I was just pussy-whipped, and I just didn't want to take the job. True story.
Okay.
And,
Well, sometimes love is strong.
Well, it's more like lust when
Yeah.
you're that age.
How old were you?
19.
19.
Yeah.
So you didn't leave with.
And it was the smartest thing I've ever done is not go, and I got a job at K-Fan. So I started at K-Fan. That was my first job. So I never really had to work in a small
How old
market.
How old are you now?
46.
No. At the time.
At the time, I was 19.
19.
20.
So 19. You started.
Yeah,
at an
I
early
went
age.
to school. I got out of school when I was 17, and then I just immediately started broadcasting school. And they just started right away. Went right into the. I knew what I wanted to do when I was in 10th grade.
You knew you were gonna.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to wanted to go to college to try to like walk on and do. That was horrible. So I knew. that was gonna happen.
Back up. You wanted to do what?
Like walk on and play like sports, baseball or something. Like walk
baseball
onto a
or
school.
something. You didn't even
No,
pick. You didn't have a
I would
sport
just,
in
like,
mind.
try out. Well, baseball, or if anyone would take me, I would.
Did you have skills?
No, I sucked. That's why I knew right away I was doing radio.
But then why would you even bother to walk on?
Oh, you try out,
What were
see
you
what
thinking?
happens. I was thinking that I would go to college and get laid a lot if I played sports.
But did you actually try to walk on?
No.
Okay, you never,
I knew
okay,
I was
all right,
shitty,
all right,
so
okay.
I didn't do it.
So you-
but I wanted to be a baseball play-by-play guy, and that was my goal. So I have a degree in sports play-by-play. I have 2 degrees.
A degree in sports play
Yeah, well,
by.
yeah,
That's
it
a
really
thing.
Exists. It really exists.
That's a thing.
You
You can get a
swear to God.
degree in sports play by play.
Yes.
And what's after that?
So
If
what
you
you
get a
do-
degree in sports play, but you get a PhD in football analysis, what the fuck?
I have that too. So what I would do is to practice, I would get one of those like clip-on mics, and I'd go to a Twins game, and I would just call the game. And while people were sitting around me, I'd go to high school games, call games, and people would look at me like, "Who the fuck are you, you fucking idiot?"
Yeah.
And I would call the games. I would do high school games and call a game, and if I go, "Oh, he strikes him out," and then the parents would get mad at me and like say mean things to me.
Yeah.
But I would practice and do that, and then I eventually did public access, and then went to KFan.
I had a friend like that who would turn down the sound on a baseball game when he was watching television and do the play-by-play and the color by himself. Yeah, because that's what he wanted to do.
See,
as well.
that is my big beef with the youth going into our business, because to me is you do whatever it takes to make it and succeed, and you work your fucking ass off to do. Like I would say this for any job. Why are you in it if you don't want to be the best? Right? You wanted to be the best. I want to be the best. Hipster Greg, everybody wants to be the best. So that's like my little pet peeve in life that I tell my 12-year-old all the time. I don't care what you do, just try to be great at it.
Do your kids want to do what you do?
No, my oldest wants to be is a genius. He is like in 9th grade. He's in 6th grade. He takes like 9th grade math, and the kid takes advanced classes and everything. But I would say it's not my kid, but he looks just like me.
Okay.
He wants to be a doctor, and I'm not sure. My youngest is still picking his nose, so who knows?
It's random.
I
isn't it?
catch him just digging for gold, man. I go, Jake, stop it, please. Don't wipe that on Daddy's pants.
He might wind up being the most successful out of all of them.
He will.
Realize that,
I'm going to
right?
have the most trouble with him, though, out of all three. You as a parent, don't you?
Yeah.
Which kids is going to be troublesome and which one's going to be easy?
Well, I only have the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm aware of.
The night's young, Dino.
Yeah, and she's a grown up.
Yeah.
I mean, my kid's 36 years old.
But aren't you? I'm glad that I have a boy that's a grade ahead of her, and then a younger brother too, because I figure I will pay them more in allowance to protect their sister when they get older.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And will they? I mean, that's their
my
job.
my oldest is a
They
little,
They
but my
will.
youngest is pretty. Yeah, I think they'll get.
So where's the
protected.
daughter? Is she in the middle or
She's right in the middle.
She's smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, she's in
covered.
5th
She's
grade.
flanked. She's
Yeah,
flanked by
yeah.
the younger and the older
and she
brother.
doesn't take crap by anyone. She wants to compete with her brother and defeat him in anything.
So is she
She
more like
lives to beat him and kick his ass and fight with him and punch him and destroy him and talk down to him and there's some serious competitiveness.
Sounds like a wonderful, lovely family dynamic you got going on
Well,
over there.
I catch it. I catch it obviously, but sometimes when kids are going at it, you just listen as a parent to see what kids talk about. So sometimes I just let it go, and then it gets to a point where I jump in and say, knock it off.
Are you a good disciplinarian?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My kids have not met Mr. Belt, but they know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all you have to do is threaten.
Absolutely. I've
Yeah.
spanked my kids, each one of them once.
Okay.
And one time I did it, I left the room and didn't think I spanked him hard enough and wanted to go back in and finish the job. I didn't, but I left the room and said, my wife, God, I suck. I barely even spanked
He
him.
learned
He's
that
not
move
even
from
crying.
Ike and Joe Jackson.
Oh, my dad beat the shit out of me when I was a kid. I mean, that was a guy who would beat the shit out
That
of you.
was-
It's old school,
yeah.
dude.
It was different times.
Yeah, different times.
Different times,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, still a Minnesota fan?
Yeah. It's amazing that technology, probably in the mid '90s, got really cool where you could watch all the baseball games and all the football games, even if you lived in a different city.
Yeah. And so you're still rooting for the
Still love the Vikings.
The Vikings.
I love them. Not college sports, just from the standpoint, college sports are not big in Minnesota except for hockey. No one cares about Gopher football. No one cares about Gopher basketball. No one cares.
when you say college sports, are you not into college sports as
No,
much?
I am. You know why I'm into college sports here?
Because you're
I worked in Phoenix,
Yeah.
and I knew nothing about college football. I knew about college football. I watched the big games. But my whole thing was I'm going to take my weakness and make it my strength, and my weakness was college football, so I made it my strength. So I figure I'm going to take the one thing I'm not good at and be so fucking good at it that, it's no longer my weakness.
What's your weakness now?
Probably baseball, because it's just 162 games of just watching it, and it's so slow, and it's just not. And it used to be my strongest sport, baseball, but now it's just too. It's not good on the radio. No one wants to talk about baseball.
What
on
do
the
you
radio.
consider your personal weakness to be in life?
Have you looked at me?
I
Personal weakness on the radio?
no personal weakness in general.
In life?
In life as a person.
You know what it is? I'm too hard of a person. It's like a softer side, like something that breaks your heart. Like I'm so, because of how I was raised, I just if it's my kids, I care. It's my family, I care. But there's like a lot of stuff that won't get me. You could call it a heart of stone or whatever, and maybe that's true. But I saw so much as a youth that it really doesn't hit me like other people would do. If there was like a sad story, I'd go, oh, it's not like I don't give a crap. It's more like I wish I was more sensitive about things. That would be my weakness.
Okay.
I'm not a prick. I'm just saying that I wish I had a softer side and wasn't so,
Do you ever think maybe you do have a softer side, you just don't embrace it?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
But I really like him, so I don't want to embrace
Were
it.
you afraid of him?
No, I'm not. But yeah.
So, you have a lovely wife.
Yeah.
So at some point you had to have some sort of
Absolutely.
soft side.
Yeah, but don't you go through it when you see this stuff day after day on TV and you get numb. You get numb to it all.
You get numb.
And
I get that.
I think just at 46 years old, I'm just numb to stuff.
I get that. I've said it before that I think we as human beings, as of late, have continued to lose our empathy.
Absolutely.
Now if you hear about a shooting, if it's not a massive shooting, if there's not a massive amount of lives lost, it almost like the number has to keep going higher for a tragedy to be something tragic.
Isn't it funny that everybody thinks they have the answers too? That's what I find humorous, when people don't know anything about the person or anything about the background or anything about the facts. It's people just jump on social media and they just know it all. If you go on social media, it's the smartest people in the world right there on Facebook, aren't they?
I know social media is a necessary
thing. It's like, why
thing.
do we even have government when the smartest motherfuckers in the world are right on my timeline, Dino? They're so fucking genius. They're so smart.
It's social media. It's like anything else in the world. So there's the good side and the bad side to everything. Yep. There are some good aspects.
What's the good side? The good side is you get to keep in touch with your friends.
All right, no, the good side of social media is this.
Yes.
A podcast like this, where I get to sit across from you and people get to listen to us. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But the bane of social media is exactly what you said. When people who claim to have all the answers and don't, and just throw out their opinions without any thought process whatsoever, they just throw it out there.
I think they know a topic where you fucking don't. Like I get into this with people. I lived in Phoenix for a long time. You get to learn a lot about immigration just through living there, the pros and cons. I could argue both sides and be a genius at it. Someone in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Ohio, unless you live it, you don't know. You're reading fucking stats. And unless you live it, and unless you see it, and unless you know both sides and know the stories they don't report, you don't know shit. You're just typing shit on the internet.
Let me ask you this. I don't care about your politics one way or the other, but do you have an interest in politics? Do you pay attention to it, or is it disgusting to you right now?
I think they're both disgusting, both sides. I'm a libertarian. I've voted that way for a very long time. I like the thing is, I would like to say I like the financial responsibility of a Republican of balancing budgets, but they're not. They don't do that, so they're full of shit. They say that, but they don't. And on the left, I've always thought, I agree with a lot of the social stances on the left, but I've always thought social issues really work themselves out. Human beings usually work that out. It just takes us a while to get to it. Like, sooner or later, they were going to allow gays to marry, get married, but it became a whole political thing, So I kind of separate that. So I would say libertarian's fair. And I vote that way. I get shit from Jerry, who I work with, about, well, why are you wasting your vote? Because that's what I believe in. Why would I vote in someone?
Like I said,
I
personally don't care what your politics are. I'm just curious if you have an interest in it, or if it matters to you, if you care,
I
or
don't
if you
care.
Turn a blind eye.
I keep an interest because that's what we do. So I need to know what's going on. But I think they're both so awful. And like, if someone's like on the right and says we have all the answers, or someone on the left, or we have all the answers, we're right. Both your sides are not right. You could give complete power to one side or the other, and you will fuck it up.
Would you ever run for office?
No, because No.
Okay.
I don't want bad things to come out about me.
I'm not saying
I'm not saying I'm a bad person here or whatever, but I can tell you when I was a kid, I did bad things. It's just how I was raised, my environment.
So you're afraid of the skeletons in your closet?
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
Well, I got skeletons.
That's the
in
next
closet.
episode.
Yeah. I just, you know what I mean? I don't need to. If I run, I would, and I'm not going to, but I would run on issues and what I think would. I don't need anyone bringing something up and say, hey, da-da-da-da-da, you touched a boob in 8th grade and she was in 7th grade. Me too. Right? hey, when you were 19, you made out with a 17-year-old girl. I don't.
Go on.
Right, 'cause people would make a thing out of that.
Yeah, they do make a thing.
All
out of
right,
it.
she was 16.
They make a thing out of
Absolutely, dude.
everything. So let's bring you.
All
up
right,
to,
she was 12. No, I'm
No,
joking. I'm totally joking.
he's joking.
I am
He's
joking.
joking.
I am joking.
He's joking. Let's bring you into Columbus. When did you first come to Columbus?
Came to Columbus 12 years ago. It was the year that the Buckeyes basketball team played in the finals. It was before that. It was right after Troy Smith and the boys lost to Florida. It was right after that. So we're 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So I came in. I knew, though, I was interviewing for the job in the fall. It just took a really long time, so I was following what was going on in Columbus, so I kind of knew what was up. And I kind of had a good idea that I was going to get the gig. And then the weird thing is I come in, and I came in a little early, and I show up for work, and my boss says to me, "Hey, man, I'm going to the Masters. Why don't you come back next week?"
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, well, I had a newborn at home. I'm thinking, well, I should have just effing stayed then. You told me to come right now, and then when I showed up, you said come back in a week. I could have spent a week with my. So I thought that was a little weird. Like my first day where he goes, you know what? I'm leaving. Come back next week.
Okay.
Like, okay. I'll come back next week. So then I actually flew home and then came back the next week.
And started a pretty damn successful run.
Yeah, absolutely.
You and
Very
Common Man.
blessed.
You and Common Man.
We really did. It was
You guys-
something completely different.
You guys kicked ass.
We did whatever they told us to do. We didn't listen to them, and we mocked them in the process.
Yeah.
We mocked them on the air.
I still listen to Common Man.
I listen from time to time.
I listen. He's locally. I think they're still doing a good job, and I listened when you were on as well. But I still like. I just like his style.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's a clever dude.
Yeah, he's a very clever man, and they do a nice mix of talking about sports and then bringing some real life into the situation.
Absolutely.
As well. But when you guys were together, the show was huge.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Huge. And then something happens.
Yep. I hit Twitter.
You hit Twitter.
Yeah.
You hit Twitter early. Now I'm curious. Let's talk. What did you say on Twitter back then?
I don't know the exact wording.
And do you think it would even make a blip today?
Yes, I think it would be a big thing today.
You think it'd be bigger or smaller?
Bigger, absolutely bigger.
All right. Can we talk about what
We can talk about anything you want.
What the basis of the tweet was?
I'll paraphrase. I was watching Game Day, and Desmond Howard has a tendency. I just don't think he's very credible. Michigan will have 5 losses. He'll say they're a top 5 team. Buckeyes will be undefeated. He'll dog them and not say it. And to me, if you're in that role, you have to have some credibility, right?
Okay.
Unless you're a Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley would say whatever the hell he wants because you're not watching Charles Barkley to break down the NBA. That's what Kenny Smith does, right? Charles is the entertainment.
Right.
Desmond is not the entertainment of that show. Lee Corso is. So that's kind of his pattern. So I tweeted, I wish, and then like, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know exactly what it was.
Paraphrasing
Something like,
good
I
enough.
wish Desmond would get fired or die so I can watch Game Day again, right? And I didn't, at the time, get any heat for it or nothing. It was just normal business as usual. My wife got into a fender bender, so I had to pick up her car, and on the way, and I didn't have my phone. And I was thinking on the way, maybe I should just delete it. It's kind of mean, da-da-da-da-da. And then I get home, and I actually called my partner and said, man, maybe I should delete it. He goes, who gives a shit? You didn't mean it. You're just kidding around. It's no big deal. I'm not seeing anything negative. And then by the next day, though, overnight, shit hit the fan about it.
How and why?
Some guy tweeted to Herb Street, and then when Herb Street's... Desmond Howard's wife found it,
right,
and sent me a tweet. Do you think this is funny? My daughter saw it, and then I said, oh, man, maybe your young daughter... Well, our daughter was 19. I found out later, so,
Okay,
at the time,
still.
I thought her daughter was 10, and I was like,
Right.
oh, boy, I really feel horrible.
So you think if you would have just said, I wish Desmond Howard would be fired so I could enjoy Game Day, nothing.
I don't think no. Well,
but do you think? But the fact that you put would or die.
Yeah, but you heard the show.
Yeah.
It was shtick.
Yeah.
I would say this. One humongous college football guy contacted me afterwards, and he said, dude, I've listened to your show. I've been in Columbus. You one time said about me, if so-and-so is wrong about this story, we will kidnap him, put him in a straitjacket, put him in a body bag, and throw him off the bridge and put him in the Olentangy. He goes, you know what I thought listening to that? I thought, that's fucking funny.
Yeah.
And that's what he wrote. He goes, I listened to your show. I know you really didn't mean to put me in that. It's the shtick you do.
But it's also kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
Put him in a straitjacket, throw him in the Olentangy River, but you never said die.
Yeah. Well,
You never
it's
said
insinuated.
You never said, and then we'll kill him.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that one little
Oh,
word
maybe.
would have been absent from
Maybe.
it. Because seriously, I wish Desmond Howard would get fired so I can enjoy game day. That's nothing.
Yeah, well, I probably still would have gotten a little trouble.
Maybe a little trouble, but
Yeah.
not dumped.
Yeah, not dumped. But it's the best thing ever to happen.
Did you feel that way at the time?
No.
No, of course not.
Because people say a lot of bad things about you. They were writing locally. I had tons of support, which was appreciated. But nationally, I was getting killed by people. Sports Illustrated twice wrote about it. Jock Sniffers, who wanted to kiss Herbie's ass, was tarring me. You don't even know me, the situation. You never called me and asked me what happened afterwards, if it was cool between me and Desmond or not. No one asked about that. So they just went with their, like, I'm a horrible human being, da-da-da-da-da.
You think if Herb Street hadn't fanned the flames, that it would have gone away?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, no doubt about it.
So because he got into it.
He got into it. He got involved.
And because the fan was affiliated with ESPN.
Yeah, and yeah.
And so forth and so on.
Yeah. I don't know the complete story. I can go with what I was told.
Did you ever confront her? Did you ever have a chance to confront Herb Street about it?
He wanted to get in touch with me because I was trying to get out of my non-compete. And of course, what you do is you threaten to sue, right? If you want to get out of the. So I had an attorney.
How long was your non-compete?
It was a year, but I got it down to 6 months.
Okay.
And the whole thing of it is my attorney wanted to know who Herb Street talked to, because you can't. If I have a contract with someone and you go to my employer and you say you got to fire this guy, this, that, and the other thing, that's illegal for him to do that. You cannot do that legally. So my attorney just wanted to know it was in the paper. My attorney said, we want to know who Herb Street talked to, who he met with, and what he said. Once that was in the paper, Herb Street's attorney called mine several times, contacted guys that I knew, common friends, and wanted my new phone number. So he was trying to reach out with me. But I talked to him that week because I was told you got to make good with Herb Street. I was told if you don't make good with Herb Street, you are cooked. So I called him. I swallowed my pride for my family and called and talked to him.
Okay.
And talked to him for about an hour about it. Didn't feel good about it, but still, whatever. If I got to kiss a little ass to keep my job, I got to do what I got to do. But then the roles were reversed afterwards, where he was desperately trying to get in touch with me.
Herb Street was.
Yes, to make amends.
I'm
sure. I don't know. He wanted to get in touch with me. I'm assuming that's it. I can't speak for him.
Do you think he could have reversed it and saved your job?
No, because I was already gone at that time.
So? They can't have a change of heart?
I don't think so. I don't think that was. Nah, I don't think so.
But then you said something very interesting. You said it was the best thing ever happened.
Best thing by a mile.
Why and how?
Couple things. One, I'm in a better place. I work less hours. I make more pay. And sports radio just doesn't, in the smaller markets, medium markets, you just don't get paid that much in sports radio. So I do better. And the thing is, I want to be successful. So I could tell you the countless games I would watch over and over and over, and just watch games and read things and just be. There'd be times, Dino, where I'd watch a game and we talk about it for like 2 minutes, but you had to be prepared, right? So it's just a time sucker. And then two, how many guys in this business can go and do PM drive, do morning drive in the same city, 2 different formats, and be number one? How many guys can do that? Not too many.
Not too many.
Not too many. So I consider that. And listen, I'm not saying I did it. I worked with 2 great guys. Jerry's great and Mike's great. So I worked with 2 great guys. But I accomplished stuff, and I just don't have to deal with the BS that you deal with. I was sports director. I just dealt with a lot of BS.
Well, the reason I asked you, because obviously you love sports.
I love sports,
and that's what you said when you were growing up you wanted to do.
Absolutely.
You wanted to talk sports, and I know you talk sports on cue.
A little,
but now you talk about a garden variety of things, and a lot of fun things.
I think it's about entertaining and being the best in your craft. Is kind of what you morph into that. I did rock radio. I did sports, rock radio in Phoenix, back to sports here, and rock radio. I don't know if I could do another format outside of those 2 formats. I'm not sure. Maybe I could. I don't know. I hope I don't have to try.
Yeah, right. I agree with you. And you still stay in touch with the sports. You've got a podcast, Two Bucks and a Nut.
Yep, just started.
which I was joking with Hansberry and John earlier today. $2 in a nut. Also a new.
I'm not the buck, Dino.
No, I know you're the nut. Yeah. Also a new sitcom on ABC, TGIF. It sounds like a TGIF show. $2 in a nut.
Yeah.
What happens when two former Ohio State football players
Team up with a hey, that's a great pitch.
You guys are roommates. You're
That's a
roommates.
great pitch.
It's a great pitch.
That's a great pitch. You ever write a sitcom or try to write a movie or anything? Oh, right, you have, but
duh, yeah.
but have you ever tried to do comedy?
Yes.
What happened? Do you ever pitch it?
I did. I pitched back before I ever got into radio. I pitched a show called Right Is Wrong, WRITE. Right is wrong.
And what happened?
And they didn't pick it up. No, but
No.
nobody bought it. But I thought it was a funny script.
Yeah.
And I just
You know what would be a genius thing for people in our business, and I keep track of this. So when we do a topic on the radio,
Right.
I keep track of the topic and the stories, right? I think a great sitcom would be taking all those life experiences of people and using it in a sitcom somehow.
Yeah.
Even if you did a show where the guy was a talk show host and then they would talk about a story, then he had a flashback to something funny with
Sure.
the same instance. I think that would be a good show.
Why don't you write it?
I just don't have the drive.
You know, they say
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know how many people I run across like I got this great idea.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I
never.
I got a great
goes
idea for a
anywhere.
movie too called Hell, but it's a funny movie. Like hell, it's a comedy, like a funny movie. Like you die and the guy goes to hell, and
Yeah.
the first scene's at the BMV, and he's there for like 40 fucking years because it's hell. And you know,
Season one, the
and
BMV.
you know, like his neighbor, he's got a hot neighbor, and he has sex with her, and when he's having sex with her, he's having sex with his mom. You know, it's hell, Dino.
Right, it's hell.
He's eating a steak sandwich, but really it turns to shit. It's hell.
It's
you know,
hell.
stuff like that.
The
It's
premises
hell.
are endless.
But you can't have good actors. You'd have to have like Rob Schneider and like Adam Sandler or Will Ferrell.
You're saying they're not good actors?
No, I'm saying you would have to make it lower budget. No, I'm saying they're good comedic actors. I'm saying you'd have to have a lower budget. I wouldn't go high budget is what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you'd have to go for.
Slapstick.
Yeah.
almost.
You know who I
Yeah.
think's genius, who I would love to work with if I could just pick? I think Mark Norman is awesome.
Yeah.
You ever see Mark Norman?
Yeah.
He's very clever. He should be bigger than what he is.
There's a lot of people I think
Absolutely.
that are
But do you
not as big as they should be.
Do you think when people make it, they lose a little on the stand-up side?
That's a good question.
Because I think they do.
I think when you lose a little drive and initiative, unconsciously, once you make it, you know, you unconsciously lose a little bit of that oomph.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not struggling
Yeah.
to get there anymore.
Absolutely.
Which is why even at the time I was at Sunny for all those years, I kept doing all these other things to keep me motivated that I wasn't necessarily completely successful at, but just wanted to strive to do it. I wanted to make a movie, so we made a movie. Want to write a book, so I'm gonna write a book. You know, and I haven't reached that level of success where I've
And
done
you wrote
that.
a book?
I'm writing one as we
right
speak.
now?
Yeah,
I think that's
It-
great.
it-
I would love to do stand-up because I have a lot of written out stand-up that could be funny.
Yeah,
It's
just-
also to your delivery too
Yeah.
of how you when you're on stage, your stage presence.
stand up is tough,
It's
man.
very tough.
You know, I keep trying to get Jerry to come back up on stage.
Jerry would be great at it. Have you met a guy, I say this with radio, who's got great comedic timing like Jerry? He makes it easy when he delivers it on the radio. He has that gift.
Sure.
Like if I could, you know, obviously we work in radio. We can't do whatever we wanted. But if we could do whatever we wanted, I would just sit with Jerry and lob him up Stockton to Malone all morning long. And I would just play maybe 2 songs an hour, play your things, and it would just be me and Jerry talking about shit and let him go at it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the best part is when I get him and we can talk about shit and he can tell jokes and do it. His comedic timing is fantastic.
Jerry's very funny.
Yeah, he really is.
Very, very funny. Do you consider yourself to be a shock jock?
People called me a sports shock jock. I always called it just being honest. What's wrong with honesty? People in sports assume that the fan is stupid, like you're a fucking stupid idiot, and I'm smarter than you and more intelligent than you, and I'm going to use analytics and get my point, da-da-da-da-da. I've always did I'm going to talk to you like normal people talk to each other about sports, and if someone sucks, we would use like he's bad or, you know, I want to drink bleach or whatever, right? I would use terms like that. I'd create slang for sports. It was just new. I would create the me likey and different thing, my guy, you know, just stuff like that. I think for one, you know your team better than the national guys. I don't think the national guys know, and I don't think they have the ability to know like the local guys. I just don't think they do. So shock jock, people may say that. I don't on cue. I'm not, but doing sports. I wouldn't. I just say it's being truthful, and sometimes people can't get butthurt over the truth.
All right, so let me ask you this:
an opinion. They get butthurt over an opinion that's not theirs. So I need to whine.
Do you ever say anything on the radio now, back at the fan, whatever? Did you ever say anything on purpose, knowing that it would be shocking? Something on purpose, just to say it.
That wasn't my intent.
No,
No, I have said things on the radio.
See, that's what I think. When I think of a shock jock to me would go out of their way.
Yeah, I just never go out of
to
my
be
way.
controversial
No.
or to be, to cause a stir.
I would actually like to be more opinionated on cue.
Is that possible?
Yeah, it really is.
Is it?
Yeah, because I think
'Cause it seems to me you don't really hold back that much.
Yeah, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh dear Lord.
Yeah, I really do.
You hold
but
back.
It's just common sense stuff. It's just common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hold back. We have uptight people who read the complaints and they think that one complaint, it's the end of the world. I
understand that.
You know what I mean? It's like
no,
you either
trust
fight
me.
for it or you fight. You know what I mean? It's you've been married. You pick your battles.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how it
I
is.
understand
Yeah.
about
You get
going to the line. I worked at the family station for 24 years. I had to toe the line constantly,
Yeah.
and dip my toe sometimes over the line and pull it back very quickly.
Yeah.
And that got to be an art.
Yeah. To me, I don't think some people get it to where if you get a complaint, that's a good thing because
Right.
people are emotionally involved in your show. Doing sports radio, I get tons of hate all the time. I'll never listen to you again, but yet you would quote my shit that I would
Right.
say word for word.
Right. They'll
Here,
listen for 3 hours to hate
absolutely.
because they hate you.
I like the haters more. I like the haters more than someone who will come up and say, I've listened for 10 years. I love the haters. I love them. I can tell when someone complains on social media, I got you. And that's the best. If you're in this business to be liked by everyone, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah,
Because you won't be successful.
Yeah, you're McDonald's.
Yeah, and I could care less if you hate me. I know I don't suck. So when people write, Dino, you ever get the "you suck," get off the radio? You know you don't suck.
Yeah.
So you're an idiot. Go away. You suck at writing complaint letters. You're shitty at it. Go away and
Yeah.
come up with something better.
No, over the years I've gotten my fair share of the hate, and I've gotten a lot of love as well.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I actually like the hate better.
Yeah,
I don't need to be hugged.
I don't. You know what? I'm kind of figuring that out.
Yeah.
That you don't need to be.
But I
and yet at the same time, I fucking think you need one.
I have my kids. They give me a hug when I get home, Dino. There's a lot of hugs given in the Torgerson house.
Is there?
Yeah,
Is there
absolutely,
really?
dude. Yeah, we're a tight knit family, man. We'll do Thanksgiving. My wife's parents will come in town. We're a tight knit. Her entire family. We're a tight knit group, man. They're very cool people. A lot of family reunions. And
Are the
stuff.
Torgersons drinkers?
Yes.
Is
My
it-
mom's side are a bunch of Meisterbrow drinking, trailer park trash, beat their kids, government cheese, and not that's a bad thing, but the drunk and beating your kids part is.
You know, a simple yes would have sufficed.
Yes. No, but I say this on the air. You know what my mom's philosophy is of life, where I would always say, why were you such a fucking shitty parent? Why were you such an asshole? I would like straight up, like, why? And her response is, and to this day, she'll tell you, she said, I have it rough. I had it rough, so deal with it. You're going to have it rough. And that was her whole philosophy of being a parent. I had it rough growing up, so who gives a fuck? You're going to have it rough, too. And that's her. And today, she's 60-some years old. You could sit down with her and ask her, like, why did you do the things you did? And that's what she would tell you. And in her mind, she believes that's the right way. Is if someone has it shitty, who gives a shit? You're going to have it shitty, too.
So how does that not translate to how you raise your family?
Because I'm not an idiot. I know common
But you
sense.
grew up in according to you grew up in an idiot environment.
Yes, but my whole thing in life was to get away from them and get away from that, and I was going to make something of myself. And
yet you have these great big family reunions where y'all get back together on her side.
My wife's side.
Your wife's
I wouldn't
side.
get together with my mom's family.
Oh, really?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
Not
Ever?
for the podcast, never. I don't want my kids around that.
All right, we'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
How you liking the bourbon?
I like it, actually. You know what it is? You get a little bit of water in it.
Yeah.
Is this how you're supposed to let it?
Well, I've said this
Tastes a
before.
little
A lot of
better.
people tell you that water can be whiskey's friend, and some people enjoy their bourbons neat, but there are certain bourbons that
what does neat mean?
neat, just no ice.
Oh, okay.
Just to pour in the whiskey in the glass, some hardcore.
I'm gonna use that terminology. I like it neat.
You like it neat?
Yeah.
Well, they'll give it to you neat.
Oh no, then maybe I don't.
Yeah,
What
they'll
is
give
it on the rocks with?
No, on the rocks is
So that's on the rocks.
That's on the rocks. Neat. They'll just pour you
Oh,
whiskey
no,
in
I
a
gotta
glass.
Get it neat then.
Well, you're drinking it. You're drinking it neat when you do. What do you shoot when you do whiskeys, or when you do shots? What do you drink?
I drink. I pick a new shot until I puke on it, and then I just move on to the next one. I used to do Fireball,
Oh,
and then when I was
Dude,
going,
so much-
I was going to Detroit. You know that whole story where I was going to Detroit.
Yeah.
and
You left QFM. You were
I
leaving.
left.
You left. We said goodbye. We
Yeah.
had a party for
And
you.
the story was
We had a party for you.
This was the story. Is I didn't have the contract yet. They were sending it to me, right? And CBS was going through that merger. And what happened was we were bringing in a film crew to film Uncensored, the commercials. So I felt bad, and I didn't want to screw, even though I wanted to quit when I got the contract. But I didn't want to screw everyone over and film a commercial and then 4 days later say, see you later, fuckers. I'm going to Detroit, right? So I didn't want to do that to them. So I told them I was leaving.
Yeah.
And I figured, all right, they'll be cool about it. I went on a limb. I risked myself here, right? I had an agreement letter, but I didn't have the contract. So instead of, and I feel bad because they told me not to talk to Jerry. I got in my car and I started driving to talk to Jerry. My wife said, don't, because they told you not to. You could still work it out. I was gone.
You told me you were leaving, and
I was leaving.
And you told me
We
not
got
to.
so wasted that day.
Yeah.
We started drinking at 8 o'clock. I ended up in the shower with my clothes on, puking on myself, and my mother-in-law banging on the door. Is everything all right in there, Scott? Is everything all right? And I, had my shoes off, but I had everything else on. I'm just puking on myself in the shower.
You puke a lot.
Well, if I drink extreme amounts. I haven't puked since that time, so I'm good. That was,
Okay.
2 years ago?
Yeah, it's
So
2
I'm
years
good.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I threw up.
Well, you're wiser than I am.
Well,
I drink to get drunk. You don't do that.
no, I really don't.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to get me drunk too,
Yeah.
so maybe that's part
You
of
know,
it.
when I was a kid, I had such low self-esteem about my looks that I would have to get hammered in a bar to talk to a girl. So I would go to a bar and just do tons of shots just to talk to a girl. I would never walk up to a girl and start a conversation of, hi, my name's Scott.
So were you drunk when you met your wife?
I was at a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or were you drunk?
I got there, yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
is
It
it
was
how-
a setup. It was when I met my wife, we met at this place called Martini Ranch in Phoenix, and I just got my wisdom teeth pulled. I had like an operation, and I was actually on a date with another girl, but she broke her ankle. And she still wanted to go, and I said, I didn't really want to hang out with a girl that had crutches and like hopping along. And I said, and you have a kid. I just wanted to have sex with you anyway, so I just don't show up. I said, don't worry, we'll go out another time. Don't worry about it.
God, you're kind of an ass.
Yeah, well, I was 29 years old, dude, or whatever. 28 years old. I was an yeah.
And so you dumped that girl.
Well, I didn't dump her. We weren't even dating. It was like a first date. And I just said, we'll just go out another time. And then my wife was there with a friend of mine.
Okay.
So then that's how I met her. I just started talking to her. And,
But
my friend's band was playing, so I
Yeah.
just listened to it.
So were you drunk when you talked to her the first time?
Not initially, but I got drunk.
You got drunk.
Yeah.
And it made the conversation easier.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when you were able to wile her with your charms.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And how long?
I think I can. My thing is, if I have someone to start the game, like a buddy, I feel like I'm a good closer.
Yeah.
Like right there. But then like closing the deal and getting the lab, I'm kind of middle relief. So if someone starts the game,
Okay.
gets it going, I'll give you a solid 6th, 7th, 8th inning. Then you close the deal and invite them back to wherever. Because I'm not good at that either. Because I'll think that, like when I was single, like she's digging me or whatever. But how do I just say, you want to go back to my place? I always thought, what if she says no?
Yeah.
Then I'm stuck in a conversation with someone who just turned me down.
Right.
So I would just never get to the
got,
close.
Sometimes you got to.
Take me out, coach.
No, sometimes you got to play through.
Yeah, I know.
You got to play through, no
I
matter
just
what.
had such a low self-esteem that if someone turned me down or didn't, I just was like, God, I'm ugly or whatever. I'm an idiot or, I just had such a low self-esteem.
So how do you feel about yourself now these days?
Well, I'm married with 3 kids.
No,
so
but
I
how
did
do you feel
somewhere.
about yourself now?
Oh, I like myself now.
You like it? You
Yeah,
cool?
yeah,
You
yeah.
good?
I would think younger Torg's an asshole, kind of. I could
Yeah.
be. That's why I always say if I
What-
was mega rich, like let's say I was in my 20s and I become mega rich. Like my early 20s, I became mega rich. I would be an asshole.
What would older?
Now I wouldn't be.
What would today Torg tell younger Torg if he could go back?
Oh God. Have more fun. Quit being more up. Stop being so uptight. Quit like thinking it's live or die with your career. just relax a little bit, enjoy it a little bit more, have fun. Don't be so focused on the job. Like, it's not everything, dude. Enjoy the moment. That for me I didn't enjoy the moment enough.
All right. Well, everybody seems to like the Torg that we got now. So,
Yeah, I would say young Torg, hard worker, douche. More mature. But the thing is, though, I didn't get married till I was in my early 30s. And I think for me
I think that's smart.
Yeah, absolutely, because you get it out of your system. You do everything you can. You don't have any regrets. You do your trips. You go hanging out with your guys.
Right.
And then you don't look back at it and say, oh, shit, I should have did this or I should have did that. It was all out of my system. So then when I got married, I wasn't a douchebag, you know. But like 20-year-old Torg, 25-year-old Torg, when you're a 27-year-old kid, you own your own house, you're doing mornings in Phoenix. I was the in-arena host for the Coyotes. I have billboards. I was a dick. You know, not a complete asshole. I was great with my friends. I'm a great friend, but I was kind of douchey in my dating life. So, you know, but new Torg is much better.
New Torg.
Yeah.
Torg 2.0.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or probably 4.0 at this point.
4.0 at
Yeah,
this point.
at this point.
All right, one more quick question back to football before we go, because this particular podcast, while it will drop this weekend, it's going to play through because next week's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So we're going to leave this one up for the big game.
Okay, yeah.
So Ohio State, Michigan, man, what's going to happen?
Let's
In
just
your
say there's no
opinion.
injuries this weekend, right?
Right.
Michigan's playing really good right now, and I don't think we've seen the best Buckeye game yet. We
No.
know it's there. I think there's something there where the problem with Ohio State is they recruit by 5 stars and say how they recruit is they want to get the best players, right? And if you're a 5-star, we're going to get you. But I don't think they know about the chemistry of the right guys to get. I would rather have a 3-star guy that's in for the team than a 5-star guy that's in it just to get drafted in the NFL. And I think they have too many individuals and they don't play as a team. I think Nick Saban does it best, where Nick Saban recruits and says, you're going to win championships, and because we win championships, you're going to go to the NFL. And you buy into my system, we're going to win a lot of games, and then you'll get noticed in the NFL. I think Urban Meyer, and I don't know this for a fact, is more like, hey, Joey Bosa, Ezekiel Elliott, all these corners. And you're going to do a lot of winning too. But if you come here, you're going to get drafted and play football, and I think that's the difference between Alabama and Ohio State. I don't think we've seen the best out of this team. You hope as a fan that you get it against Michigan.
I mean, both teams.
I think it's there. I think the ability's there. If they buy in and do it and give you 60 minutes of their best football, I think they're more talented than Michigan. I really believe that. But they're just not playing better than Michigan.
It's like if you have all the best ingredients in the world to make this great meal, but if you don't know what to do with those ingredients to mix them properly, the meal's going to suck.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
Yep.
So who do you think wins on football
I
Saturday?
still think-
Do you think
I
in our house, Torg?
That's why I think Ohio State wins this, because I think Michigan's riding high right now, a little overconfident. And I think Ohio State knows that we haven't played our best football, and if we can just do it one game, it can change the complete season around what people think of us.
Absolutely.
And that's what Urban, I tell you this, in $2 in a Nut podcast, we tell great stories. Zach Bourne was Urban's first captain. He tells stories how Urban beats the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Bourne had to go in and tell Urban, lighten up on us, and had to go in with the other captains and be the spokesperson. So we give good insight. Urban, from what I know from these guys, is a master manipulator. He's the guy who goes in and can push all the right buttons and get these guys going. He doesn't. People say Urban's calling the plays. I think he has input. He's not calling the plays. Ryan Day's calling the plays. He does special teams. He's the special teams coach. I think he makes a decision. We're going for it 4th and 1. Let's run it or whatever, right? But I think for the most part, Urban brings to this team a great recruiter and a manipulator in practice, and he knows how to work people's ass. We talked to Jerry and I talked to Pat Elflein. And I asked him, people say Urban wouldn't work in the pros. Would Urban work in the pros? He goes, yeah, because he works your ass. And that's why Urban, he knows the buttons to push. And I think coaching now in sports, and we talked about this on the podcast, you have to deal with millennials now, and it's a different way of coaching. It's not, I bust your ass, you're going to work hard and do it. It's almost like where you have to coddle them a little bit. And like Pete Carroll. You ever watch Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll finds a way to relate with his players and work their ass off. Right? He's got that relationship with the guys where he can figure it. I think coaches are going to be more like Pete Carroll in the future than the Bill Belichick's, the Mike Zimmers, the old school, the Bill Parcells, the old school hard asses. I think that's the direct. Even Mike Tomlin, in a way, will be a fossil. I think, in a way, those guys will be extinct. And I think the new millennial coach, where here's like McVay, here's what we can achieve. if we do it a certain way. So do it my way. I'll put your arm around. We could do it together, and the reward is so great we can get that instead of the way the old school guys do it now.
All right, what's the final score, Ohio State, Michigan?
I am going to go 27-23 Buckeyes.
27, so close game.
Close game. I think it's going to be very close.
And without going into a lot of great detail, I don't want because we're running
I
out
hear
of
you.
time. Who's playing in the Super Bowl?
Oh, Super Bowl. I don't think it's the teams that you expect right now. I think it's going to be, boy. You know, I don't know. Can I give a don't know? Because I don't buy the Rams and the Saints are the best teams right now. They're the flashiest teams. I say in the AFC, Kansas City might get there because I think they're a complete team. Something tells me the Patriots, though, again, can go on the road and beat them. I'll go Patriots and KC on one side, and I'll go on the other side, the Rams. See, the Rams have no home field advantage in the playoffs. None. Have you watched their games? Everybody cheers for the other team. They have no home field advantage, right? Dino, you still have an answer machine? My God.
Yeah, I know. I thought I turned that off.
Hey, 1987's on the phone. You better answer it.
Thank you for calling.
I have. Yeah, my phone's going.
And I think it goes down to 3 teams in the NFC: the Saints, the Rams, and the Vikings. And I think that's the teams.
Shame on you. You didn't say the Steelers once.
I know, because I here's why.
Shame on you.
Here's why. Because Big Ben, if you look at it, they had this stat, and I'm not a big stat guy, but they had a thing where it was Aaron Rodgers against. Was it Tom Brady? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers against Tom Brady. And they had the records of all the Hall of Fame quarterbacks against all the other Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Do you know who had a horrible quarterback rating and a horrible rating against the other players? Ben.
Tell me, Torg.
It was Ben, unfortunately. No,
was
listen,
it Ben?
do I think they're going to win the division? Hell yeah. Do I think they're a great team and underrated? Yes. If you're asking me if I think they can win the big game against the Patriots, I don't think they can. And until they do, they have to get to that next level. But I just don't think they can.
You know, they have won quite a few Super Bowls
I know they
over
have.
the years.
And you know what pisses me off about the Steelers, I'll tell you.
Tell me.
Antonio Brown doesn't show up for practice, and they don't do anything to him. You just let a player walk all over you like that.
You know what? I wasn't
And
even paying
Bell's out.
attention.
He knows
And Bell's
showed-
out.
he
And
know-
Bell's
He's done
out
for the season.
And Bell's done for the season.
Yeah, but who
too.
cares? Connor's better.
Yeah.
Give it to Connor. Screw Bell. You don't even need Bell. I love how they revolved around Connor, and they become a complete team now.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, if you're a Steeler fan, this is what you do. You transition tag Bell and give him the finger and let the Jets pay him a whole shitload and you don't match it. And you get a draft. You're going to get a draft pick from him. You're going to transition tag with him because, what a dummy. You had $14 million.
The Steelers have a reputation of taking these unknown commodities and turning them into stars. You got to admit that.
Yeah, and look, they do a great draft to drafting.
yeah,
Their
they
way
do-
is
they do a great
fantastic.
job. They do a great
and,
job.
And you know what, too? They're smart because you look at all the best running backs outside of Gurley, the Camaras and the guys up and down. They're not first-round picks.
No.
You don't pay running backs big money, and you don't draft them in the first round because you'll find a guy in the third, fourth round, second round. It's that I think you need a running back. I'm not a guy who says it's a passing league. You don't need a running back. You need a running back. That's the problem with my Vikings. They don't have a running back, and they're not Cook's healthy now, and you'll see a different team. But you have to have a running back. The Saints realize that. They have 2 good ones. You have to have a running back, but I don't think you overpay one, and I don't think you draft one in the first round, unless it's late in the first round.
The man has spoken, ladies and gentlemen.
Because you have to give up in your cap. The way you do it is you have to cut costs somewhere, right? One big position, you're going to have to pay the guy crap, right?
And he
to make
continues to
everything
speak.
I'm on my 5th bourbon, Dino. 5 of these.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thanks for what did we talk about? Did
We
we talk about anything?
We talked about so many things. When
Yeah.
you go back and listen to this, I think you'll be upset with some of the things that you actually revealed.
Oh, really?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You've been open and honest. Exactly.
I know, Jerry. I listened to Jerry's second one. What did you say on the first one? Was it good?
First one was a 2-parter.
Was it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Did he get to him and Wags?
Yeah, he got
A little bit.
a little
They
bit.
talked a little bit more about his stand-up comedy
Did he?
past.
Yeah, we covered. Yeah, we
Yeah.
covered the
He
comedy
didn't talk
years.
shit about me, did he?
No,
No.
well, nothing bad.
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
You should go back and listen to it. And then
I listened to the second
Nothing
one.
bad.
the second one was good.
Yeah.
They were all good, and this is a good one.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I had hoped for.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, you're open.
And I'm clothed.
Huh?
And I'm clothed.
And you're clothed.
I
Not
know you wanted
barfing
me
in
to
the
take my
shower.
pants off, but that's just not happening the first time.
I really
Dino.
didn't. I really didn't.
Thanks for having me. I'll do whatever you want.
No, you were great, man. Thank you for being open and honest and everything I thought you would be. I'm glad we had the opportunity.
Can you
to
get us
actually
Herb Street?
to talk.
You know what? I probably could get Herb Street on.
Hey.
You know, Finkus had Herb Street on and asked him if he got me fired and her. You know, you ever heard thou not protest too much or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He kept going like, I didn't have anything to do with it. And then Finkus was like going, hey, thanks for coming on. He goes, hold it. I just want to say the true story. He goes, I just want to say I had nothing to do with Torg getting fired, and if you're listed Torg, I'm rooting for you. And it's like, there's no reason to say it, but he kept doing it. He kept going, I just want to be perfectly clear.
Maybe he's got a little guilt.
Maybe.
Maybe
And
a little
you know
guilt.
what? You know what I would say? Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I would say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have no ill will to that guy.
Everything for a reason, my friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything works
Best
out
thing
the
that could
way
ever happen.
it's supposed to go. You and I were talking before the podcast. You were asking how I'm doing. I
Yep.
told you I'm in a very, very good place right now, and I plan on going to a better place. That sounds like I'm going to die.
It's a sitcom
Don't
on
die.
NBC.
Don't die on
The
us.
Good Place.
The good place. But thanks, man. The guest bottle has been Redemption High
I take
Rye
the rest
Bourbon.
home?
Huh? No.
Can I take-
No, because, and I tell you
We're
why,
gonna
because
finish it.
this is technically an open container, and if you were to get pulled over,
Oh,
He's looking out for you.
I would
yeah,
just
I'm
blame
looking.
you.
It doesn't matter.
I got a blue card.
I gave you the blue
Yeah, I
card.
know you did.
I gave you the blue card. Redemption High Rye Bourbon, nicely priced too, at about $25 a bottle. So
Where can I get that at?
It's from Indiana too,
in all,
which is cool.
any liquor store.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Redemption.
it's
I'll
good.
remember
Yeah,
that.
it's nicely
I
priced.
have my favorite bourbons are Revenge and Vindictive.
And then you can top it off with Redemption.
Redemption.
With Redemption, and I picked it because you've kind of gotten
Absolutely,
you've
man.
kind of
I
gotten
agree with you
your
there.
redemption
Absolutely.
in this
Yeah,
business.
Will still owned us. I'd be doing heroin right now in the alley.
Torg, Scott Torgerson has been our guest. Torg, QFM, FM 96 here in Columbus, Ohio. Torg and Elliott, along with Christy Kemper and Skaggs in the morning. You guys do a great job. Also, $2 and a Nut, their podcast with Matt Finkus and Zach Bourne. Shout out to them as well. We hope that you enjoyed a little bit of the insight because I don't know if you realized it, but you kind of talked about. Everybody thought that it's all going to be about sports with Torg, but we got into a whole lot more.
No,
We
sports is boring.
We got into a whole lot more than just sports. So you
Yeah.
are more than sports, my friend.
Oh, absolutely.
You're more than that.
Yeah, you know that bugs me. When people call me a sports guy, it bugs the fuck out of me. It does. Because I think I'm better than that.
Perception is reality.
Yeah, I know.
And you
Yeah,
always
yeah.
have to remember that when it comes to the public.
Yeah.
How they perceive you
Yeah.
is their reality. Many thanks to Greg Hansberry for producing Whiskey Business on the audio side.
You got it.
Many thanks to John Whitney, who is recording and producing on the video side.
Oh, nice.
This is our YouTube. This is a YouTube video now as well.
Oh, that's why that's on.
Yeah,
Oh.
cameras.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
I picked
so-
my nose so much in this. Oh, God.
And let me say that, first of all, like I said, we'll be off next week for Thanksgiving, so this one's going to run for a week or so. We'll be back with some fun stuff in the month of December. Thank you so much for listening to Whiskey Business on a regular basis. We do appreciate it. And if you want to check us out on Instagram, please do so. Our Facebook page, whiskeybusinessshow.com. We've gotten a few comments. Our website is having some malfunctioning. We're taking care of that as we speak. So if you can't find us there, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify.
Yeah, we're gonna. Hopefully, by the time this episode drops, we'll be on Spotify.
We'll
which
be on
is a good
Spotify
thing.
as well.
Yeah.
So we're covering a lot of ground.
And of course, YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis.
Whiskey
on
Business with
YouTube.
Dino Tripodis. Shout out to Rick Andreessen and his wife, who actually watch it on YouTube on their big screen TV weekly, like a television show.
Really?
Yes.
Like get the wife together? Or,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
let's
they
watch
actually-
together and
that's-
then have sex afterwards, depending on the guest?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Ricky, I don't know if you're having sex after you watch
Good
it on
luck,
YouTube.
buddy.
I'm
I hope
rooting
you
for
are.
you.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
All right, man. Have a happy
Someone's getting
holiday,
laid after
everybody.
the show.
And we'll see you in December. My name's Dino Tripodis, and we'll see you until the next bottle.